What an incredible list of topics we've talked about this week. Yesterday, it was just about financial literacy. Earlier, it was about home improvement. I don't even remember the rest of the stuff we were talking about, but nobody else is giving you this type of value, and I'm probably just talking to myself, and I don't really care. Enough about me. It's about you guys. I want to give you back. I want you to be the best person you can possibly be, and that involves being a very well-rounded person, a good person with a tool in your hand in order to do home improvements, or a tool standing in front of you and you just want them to go away in the nicest way possible. Start a conversation. 6 practical tips to start a meaningful conversation with somebody. Yes, and learning a little bit of charisma can go a long way, because here's something. I don't know necessarily if they're going to be talking about this as well, but every once in a while I'll be out and about in the public, doing some grocery shopping, okay, just needing to find some new clothes or something. That's very rare, but I'll just go out on a Saturday or a Sunday, or maybe even just one of those crazy old Fridays if it's nice enough, and I'll go out. It might not look like much, but then I'll just, you know what, hey, just be looking around, and hey, I might see somebody that I want to talk to, or maybe even just, here's a little game for you, just throw it off the backboard. There's somebody else that I see there as well, but there's somebody else as the intermediary. Maybe not somebody quite as attractive, maybe somebody a little bit older, and I'll just strike up a conversation with them, make them laugh, okay? Engage in something deeper, especially if I'm at, like a home knick-knack shop. If I need to buy a gift for somebody, if a parent's birthday is coming up, okay, I'll just be walking around the place and take notice of something. Somebody's there as well, and maybe the cashier's hot, or maybe one of the floor people is of my liking, or hey, maybe I'm just feeling a certain way about things, and I just want to be a little lippy. Get their opinion on a piece that's up there, and it's like, got kind of a rustic room that I want to decorate. I think that sign would be kind of nice. What's your opinion between the two that's up there? And start and engage in a back and forth conversation, and then say, if the other object of your desire decides to come into a purview of the conversation, rope her into it as well, and hey, there you go. Now you can just parlay off that situation onto the other. Not saying that those tactics are going to work every single time, but that's just some game out there, because a lot of you people, it's just kind of weird. You don't want to engage in conversation, or even if you do, if you finally work up the courage to do as much, you're just kind of jittery, you're looking off to the side, you're staring and gazing at your shoes, realizing that yes, you can't really worry about having an untied shoelace if you're just wearing Velcro, or maybe your helmet's getting over your line of vision. Okay, just work up a bit of confidence, because chances are you have something of value to put out into the world, and nobody's going to be able to experience it if you're just too awkward to engage. Reach out, talk to somebody, start a conversation. Whether it just be a simple phone call, a chat over online messaging, that's, I couldn't imagine, okay, having anxiety when it comes to leaving a comment or engaging in chat, and especially when it comes to live streams or something like that. If you want to, add to the conversation, or you just want to, throw out a witty line or something like that, yeah, man. More often than not, here's another tip. The person that you're trying to talk to is probably just as anxious and a little bit awkward as you are. Just throwing that out there as well. It's amazing to find that out as well, and then you could use that to your own advantage. Not trying to say that I'm evil or anything. Catch up over coffee, start talking. Studies and researchers have actually found that communication is good, not just for physical fitness, but also for mental health and emotional well-being. Yeah, of course, okay, because humans, like it or not, I would love to be the theoretical lone wolf that's out there, okay? I would just, and I'm totally fine, okay? Just saying, this isn't a cope or anything. I'm completely fine and happy just being by myself. But humans at large, I can't use myself as the lone example that's out there. Human beings are social creatures, females especially, and most guys that are out there as well. They need that constant interaction, which again, I lament, but then understand that's the way that the world works. You need to have certain people in your sphere, okay? You have to have certain networks that are laid down in order to be successful. It sucks, but hey man, life ain't fair. When you have a conversation with somebody, your body literally relaxes, literally. After a while, okay, after the conversation jitters, especially if it's, oh my gosh, she's so cute, I need to go up there and talk to her, what do I say about it? And then once you get into the conversation, it starts to be a little bit of a flow, a little bit of back and forth. I'm not saying you're going to be an expert communicationalist off rip, but it's just like anything else that's out there. The more you do it, the easier it gets. You need to work that conversation muscle, just like any other exercise that's out there. It's not that difficult to comprehend, but it's also just like financial literacy that we talked about yesterday. It's something that's not talked, or at least taught or talked about more commonly. Your organs slow down, your blood pressure lowers, and your heart rate stabilizes. Your level of stress, anxiety, tension decreases. You become more energized, and your headache you had just an hour ago, gone. That sounds a little personal, I guess. Your shakes or twitch, gone. Yeah, you'll notice that with people who stutter as well. If they're ever explaining a certain concept that they're very competent in, okay, if they either don't stutter at all or it's very reduced, because stuttering isn't a structural thing. It's a physiological psychological block. When you have a conversation with somebody, your state of mind is more focused instead of foggy. Your cognitive function and memory improves. You become more organized and a better problem solver. You gain other perspectives and broaden your knowledge. You have clarity. When you have a conversation with somebody, you feel lighter, and your chest. Oh, in your chest. Interesting. Because normally you want to engage in conversation if you notice something heavy on somebody's chest. You feel a weight has been lifted off your shoulders. You're less angry and have less grudges. I don't know how many conversations. Does this person only have positive conversations? Anyways, and less grudges. You feel both valid and valued, appreciated and loved. Oh, God, how pathetic. So here are some practical tips to use when you're starting or you are already having a conversation with somebody. Let's see how good these openers are, okay? Because I'm not saying some of my lines aren't corny, but I'm a much more direct approach person. Because again, you know what? Hey, not trying to flaunt or flex on anybody, but I'm in good shape. I'm 6.5 feet tall. If I'm not direct, people are going to think that, does that giant have some sort of an agenda? And he's awfully weird. So again, I got to play the hand that I've been dealt. Not saying that it's a bad one or something. Sometimes you wake up and you have a full house and you're totally fine with that. And again, I have good tonality to my voice, and I always haven't had that, okay? I've had to work on that type of stuff, okay? Words don't naturally flow for me. I had to become a better conversationalist. I was always a good listener, not exactly a good orator. I had to work on those types of skills, okay? This stuff doesn't come naturally to me. I would much rather have like a Professor Xavier from X-Men, you know, just kind of Neuralink with everybody so I wouldn't have to waste my time talking. But that's not the world that we live in. We got to play the game as it's made for everybody. So yes, ask how they are, okay? Ask, how are you really? Ask about what they are thinking and feeling. Ask why they are thinking and feeling that way. That's a good little tree right there. Always, okay, and something you'd probably see as well, never ask binary questions. Never ask a question that can be answered with a yes or a no, a positive or a negative result, unless of course you're trying to direct the conversation. But that normally doesn't start first and foremost. It's just like, okay, if you work retail, something that I've done a lot, okay, in the past, okay, you're working retail, okay, you have somebody who's come up, okay, somebody's looking at, I'll just go with televisions, because I used to be a department manager at Best Buy. I was very good at that job. Okay, somebody's just over there looking at the video games, and then you have a customer service representative walk up. Are you looking at video games? And somebody says yes or no, or you get the stupid question, need help with that? And they always just look non-enthusiastic. But if you walk up to somebody and you notice that they're looking at, I'll just go with Gears of War. That's the first one that came to mind. Looking at the new Xbox game, Gears of War. And it's like, hey man, see, you're looking at Gears of War. That's a heck of a good shooter that you have right there. Have you heard much about that new Lancer that they have in there, or are you just looking at the new story that's going to be in there? Because how much have you heard about that? Because I've heard conflicting things on that. What's your opinion on it? Then you can engage in a dialogue. Obviously, if you're going to have a, you know, just kind of a nervous looking individual who's going to be answering you back, especially if you're in the video game section, which that's an unfortunate thing, you know, attracts those types of people. But again, those are, you know, kind of my people, mostly in a former life, but still every once in a while. Still just hope that second Final Fantasy VII Remake game doesn't suck. Anyways, I'm just saying, you engage in conversation. Know generally where you want to go with the conversation, but more or less just let it flow. Don't be closed off in your questioning. Questioning can be your friend, but it can also be your enemy, because it could just go to, hey, do you need any help with that? No. Oh. So now you got to open again and look like a creep? Yeah, I don't think so. Actually, listen. Don't cut the other person off or interrupt them. Yeah, no, that's just absolutely stupid. When you're in a conversation, when you're in a dialogue, it's not just, okay, listen. Okay, now it's my turn to talk. You're not listening to the words that anybody says. You're just listening for a gap in the noise coming out of their mouth in order for you to interject your already pre-recorded statement. Terrible communication. That's what you see a lot going on in today's day and age. A friend of mine back in primary school said that she was very thankful to me because she had someone who had just listened to her problems, not necessarily fix it. Let's just go ahead and fix that statement as well. That was a girlfriend that he was trying to bang, but put him in the friend zone because he was being the emotional tampon. Anyways, be present, make eye contact, and be patient. Don't be a doormat, but then at the same time, if it's a conversation that you're wanting to have, okay, give off the body language that you do want to engage in that situation. Feet shoulder width apart, okay, open body language, not closed off, not arms crossed like this. Unless, of course, like there's a big difference to having shoulders raised like this, and you're just waiting, you're just kind of nodding along, and it's like, you have a furrowed brow. You're not exactly, the most emotive person when it comes to your lips. You're just kind of, waiting, yep, okay, can I go now? Start moving, looking around and all that stuff. Even if you do want to close your arms because it's just more comfortable to hold on to one arm or another, you have your arms crossed in front of you, okay? You got them in your pockets, you kind of got thumbs in the hooks as well instead of just hands in the pockets, because hands in the pockets is kind of bad body language. It just goes to show that you have something to hide, as opposed to fingers on the outside, just thumbs on the outside of the pockets. That just shows that you're just kind of free and loose and ready to engage in conversation, bouncing along, smiling along to the story that's there, engaged in what the person is talking about at the same time. Because that's a problem that you see with a lot of conversations out there. It's just kind of a one-way street. Somebody has their monologue prepared, but don't understand that the other person on the other side of that is necessary in this dialogue, okay? You're not up there just acting out a play, okay? That's not your audience. This isn't a one-man show. It's a dialogue. Two people. Dialogue. Do not judge. Well, if somebody's confessing a murder to you, I got to disagree on that one. Make the other person feel safe. Have an open mind. Try not to think negatively about the person opening it up to you. Yeah, and that's not necessarily fine. I would just that's not necessarily bad information. I would just tweak the entire point right there to judge the quality of the conversation, judge the tenor of the discussion. If it's jovial in nature, throw in some jokes. But if somebody's telling you a very dark and personal story, you can probably shelve the jokes for a second. And again, listen to engage, don't listen to respond. Empathize, again, you could probably just lump those two together. Acknowledge by nodding or saying yes or okay, or say, I understand. Make sure the other person feels you may not feel the same way, but that you understand how they feel. Well, that's sympathy, not exactly empathy, but okay. Maybe share your own experience of what you felt, something not necessarily the same, but similar, or something similar. No, terrible advice, okay? Because that can obviously come up as, oh yeah, no, you just lost a leg when the truck ran over you, something like that, okay? Yeah, I know, I had an ingrown fingernail at one point in time, and it hurt so bad, so I can relate. See how that's terrible? Okay, everybody has that one person, either at work or at school, okay, who always had to one-up your conversation. It doesn't matter. You could be talking to your friend about how you watched a great football game, but somebody has always watched the greatest football game of all time. There's always somebody who's done something better than you, okay? So again, I would cool it on that advice, okay? Trying to one-up somebody, even inadvertently. It could be of total nature. If somebody just wants to vent their opinions, mostly a woman, you don't really want to add on top of that. Ask how you can help, okay? If advice is sought, why is this like, okay, somebody just needs to be an emotional rock for somebody's emotional waves that crash upon, okay? This makes no sense. If advice is sought, then give it if you have it. Give them resources for other people, groups, and communities that can help them. Why do all conversations just eventually end up in just tragedy. That's what it's coming across right here. I don't like it. But again, here's another little red pill. Most of the time, especially if you're a man talking to a woman, she doesn't want a solution to her problems. She just wants to vent about her problems. And if you give her a solution to the problems, she expects you to follow through on those solutions. So unless you're getting something out of that situation, and you and I both know exactly what I mean by that, okay? Don't be offering solutions like that. Don't put yourself in the friend zone. And finally, follow up. Make time. Make sure to check on the other person every so often. Make them feel you are always there for them. No. As long as the relationship is reciprocal, okay, that's fine. Let them know you still think of them. That's weird. Repeat step 1 to the last step. That's terrible advice. I would just say follow up quickly, especially in today's day and age. And even if we're talking about, maybe we're just talking past each other when it comes to this article here, because this looks like it's a reconnecting with an old friend as opposed to just opening up something new. In today's day and age, anybody that you want to engage in conversation, somebody new, a new friend that you want to acquire, a new mentor you want to have in your life, okay, or a new, what's the most delicate way to put this? Oh yes, a potential partner. We'll go with that one, okay? They have a multitude of options that are out there, and you want to have your imprint first and foremost. So you want to lay that foundation quickly. You want to follow up nearly immediately, okay? We often hear that self-love is important. All right, that's weird. We all know we need to take better care of ourselves physically, mentally, and emotionally. If you are in the position to make someone feel better, then we have to ensure we ourselves are good first. Yeah, no, take care of yourself first. And again, if somebody else is putting their emotional baggage on you, you can just go ahead and put that back on the carousel, because that's not your responsibility at all. You're responsible for yourself and the actions of your loved ones, okay? If this involves one of your loved ones, something that you have agency over making sure are fine, where I would argue that somebody's personal happiness isn't under your control, you've just got to be the best person that you can put forward in every single situation, because the person that you're engaging in that conversation might not look like much, but they probably know something that you don't. And if you approach every situation like that, you're going to end up being the most well-rounded person that you can possibly be, and there is nothing more dangerous than that. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.